is. Hey guys, we're back here Thursday night for another round of recovery talk. We have Nick Morgan here from Crush The Epidemic. I'm really happy to have him here. He's been doing some amazing things. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him already. If you don't, check out his page on Facebook, Crush The Epidemic. We're going to give it some time to get some people in here because we have one. We're going to give it some time to get some people in here. How was your day today, Nick?
It was wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Besides this rainy South Florida weather.
You happy to be back in Florida?
Oh, absolutely, man. I was up in Illinois for 2 weeks, and it's getting cold up there. So it's definitely nice to be back down here with some warm weather.
Right. We're here at Comprehensive Wellness Centers. We're a PHP IOP facility, treatment facility in Southern Florida. Check us out, cwcrecovery.com. We're going to give it a little bit more time for more people to get in here.
Usually takes it.
Lucas is our, what do they call him? Like the backstage people?
Producer, yeah.
Lucas, our producer, you need to let our people know that they need to get on. And if you're in here now, say hi, like and share us. I can't also see on here, Lucas, any comments.
You'd be able to, yes.
What's that?
You'd be able to see it on there, yeah?
It'll pop up.
You flip it the other way around.
All right. Say hi if you're here, guys. Tell me where you're from. Please like and share us so we can get as many people in here as possible. There's a like. Thank you, whoever liked us. Hopefully more people will join us soon. If not, we'll start.
Yeah, it just usually takes about 5-10 minutes to get the
Stephanie Smith says hello from Illinois.
Hey, Stephanie.
Where in Illinois are you from, Stephanie?
From
Oh, you know her?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Lindsay Williams Sims says hello.
What's up, Lindsay?
I think I know that name, Sims.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Illinois here. Cammie Timon.
Hi, Cammie.
Where are you from in Illinois, Cammie? Anyway, say hi. Please share us. Please like us. Let's get some more people. Heron. Stephanie Smith said Heron.
Yeah, I know.
Cammie, where are you from? Well, you don't have to tell us, but anyway. Good to have you here. We're starting to fill up. This is awesome. Share, like us, let everybody know we're out here. We got Nick Morgan here. It's a big-time guest to land for us in our third or fourth episode. Are we third or fourth episode of Recovery Talk?
Fourth.
Yeah.
Fourth episode. We got a big heavy hitter here. Cammie's from Greenville.
Okay.
Do you know where that is?
That's up by Chicago.
Near Chicago. Hello from Long Island. Hey, Donna.
Oh, we got New Yorkers in the house.
All right, so we have Nick Morgan here. I'm from Comprehensive Wellness Centers. Again, we're a PHP IOP. We focus a lot in the 12-step program. We have clinical. We do focus on trauma, DBT, CBT. We also help with AA, NA. But Nick, we have Nick here. He's from Crush The Epidemic. Check him out on Facebook. Nick, tell us a little bit about Crush The Epidemic.
Okay, so Crush The Epidemic is a Facebook page that I founded about 1.5 years ago. And around the same time, I had been trying to, really get like my recovery and just recovery in general, like out there as far as possible. So, I put together a Facebook page and, started just like posting a lot of stuff about recovery. And then I started doing these like motivational videos where, I would sit down, have a subject, and I would videotape myself talking about the subject, and I would put it on the Facebook page. And it just seemed to like reach a lot of people. So I started to gain a following on it, and people kept saying, like you should do, public speaking, like you should really like try to go and speak in like schools and churches and stuff like that. And I had a lot of people start reaching out, on the Crush The Epidemic page, and I finally did a video earlier this year, around like January, February. I did a video of my story, and my past. And my solution to staying clean, and it just went viral, man. I had a local news channel pick it up in Southern Illinois, and a was on the news, and they did a story on me in addiction recovery, and it really just made Crush the Epidemic grow. So I had all these people reaching out to me on social media for help. You know what I mean? Whether it was just somebody to talk to, or needing treatment, or like commitments I could pick up as far as like speaking at churches, celebrate recovery events. I had schools start to reach out to me. I had like different conferences to go speak about and to go speak at, and it really just started to grow. And now it's just like amazing, man. I've got almost 9,000 followers on there, and I've got people from all around the country. Most of the people on there are from the Midwest, but I've got people all around the country that support recovery, have a loved one that's struggling, like they're struggling themselves. I've been able to help a lot of people, through that page. And
what's going on in Illinois? You were just up there. Like, what's going on with the epidemic up there?
There's a huge epidemic, opioid epidemic going on up there, and people are dying at an alarming rate. And the first place that I went when I was up there was Opioid Crisis Conference, and it's really all the drug coalitions came together and are really trying to find a solution for this opioid crisis. And it's bad, man. It's bad. There's a lot of people dying. I mean, you got little counties, just small counties that aren't huge cities, that have people, have lost 60 deaths this year just to opioid overdoses. And that's just crazy and unheard of for most places. In Illinois, it wasn't like that 2-3 years ago, to where 3 years ago, to where it is now,
What do you think the reason is for that?
I mean, I think a lot of it started with the doctors, you know what I mean? A lot of people that are on heroin now say that, like it started with an injury, and it started with the pain pills, and the pain pills weren't enough and they were too expensive, so they moved to heroin, and now everybody's dying because they're putting fentanyl in the heroin, or carfentanil in the heroin, and it's just overtaken Illinois, and it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter if you're low income, high income, cops, lawyers, doctors, like everybody's on this stuff.
What would you say, like the percentage of the people you grew up with are having, or people in Southern Illinois
that are having drug issues? Is like, I've had numerous people that I was in school with, that reached out to me that I did not even think would be using heroin, like just using drugs in general, and I have reached out to me for help, and some of those people I went to school with are dead now because of drugs, like my best friend included, and it is an epidemic, man, and some of the people that I thought would never, ever get to that point are there.
Tell me about that, because I think your best friend also was a big part of why you do what you do, so tell us about how that happened and what.
Right, so my best friend, July 4th of 2014, my best friend, like best friends from diapers, went to all these music festivals I used to go to together, lived together, did everything together. He passed away July 4th of 2014 from a heroin overdose. And that really was traumatic for me. It wasn't...
Were you using with him at the time?
I was using with him, but he decided to go hang out with the guys that were IVing drugs. I wasn't IVing, I wasn't using needles at the time, but after he passed away, the insanity of my addiction is, like, I'd never used a needle, but after I lost my best friend to shooting heroin, I started to go shoot heroin, and that's really, like,
so you're telling me that your friend overdosed and died, and you had never done IV use before, and then you started using IV?
Absolutely. And that's the insanity of addiction, man. It's like, and I was that guy that, like, my entire life I grew up, I'm scared of needles, I would never use a needle, and all those things I said that I'd never do, I did, because, like, that's just where my addiction took me. I didn't care about, whether I lived or died. Honestly, like, that seemed like it was an easier way out. I would have been okay with dying at that point. And, it just progressed, man, to where...
Listen to this real quick.
Yeah.
Autumn Taylor says, "Hi, guys. Miss you all. I'm so happy that I'm not in active addiction anymore and learned a new way of life."
That is amazing.
That's
Autumn.
Amazing, Autumn.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear from you.
It's awesome to
I'm very proud of you, for real.
I told you, man, I just saw her up there in Illinois, and I was going to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting and ran into her there, and she, has some clean time now, man, and it's just amazing to see someone when they come in where they don't have any hope and see them succeed. So
that's so amazing.
I'm super proud of you.
So happy and proud of you, Autumn. I really am.
That's awesome.
I hope you continue on this journey, because you're an amazing person, and it makes me so happy to hear that you're doing better. So keep going. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was a really blast from the past for me, and
Yeah.
it's exciting. That's someone that I believe, has come a long way,
Absolutely.
obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
So go back to where you were.
Oh yeah, so the insanity of my addiction was I lost my best friend to shooting heroin, and I go start shooting heroin, man, and it just goes to show that I didn't care about anything else but the next one. You know what I mean? Like you could tell me, hey, if you do this, you're gonna die. I'd do it anyway. And it didn't. People say all the time, well, you lost your best friend, man, to drugs. Didn't that make you stop? Like, no, it didn't. I didn't have any tools to arrest my disease. You know what I mean? It just progressed after that.
And now a lot of people that know you and even on here are like, oh, Nick, you're doing amazing things. You're so good, and I see what you do watching you on Facebook. You've been to you just spent 2 weeks up in Illinois visiting how many different places?
I've spoken 23 places in 2 weeks.
But when you talk to me on the side, you've said, if I knew you when you were using, describe yourself. Because I don't know if I'd ever believe it.
Yeah, and it really is like night and day. You know what I mean? Where today, I would like to think that I'm a good person.
Right.
You know what I mean? I try to be a better person on a daily basis. I try to be better than I was the day before. But when I was using, I was a complete monster. I was 150 pounds. I'm the type, I say it all the time, I'm the type of addict that would steal your stuff and then help you look for it. You know what I mean? That's the type of addict that I was, and constantly stealing from my family, not wanting to hold a conversation with anybody at all. Whereas today, I'm on the phone with people for hours and hours, just giving them somebody to talk to, where, it's amazing the things that we can achieve and the traits that we see that we have, when we get clean, you know? And it really is like night and day, where someone's in active addiction, and a lot of people would classify them as a horrible person or a POS, where people would classify them as that. When they get clean, it's wow, you know what I mean?
Stephanie Smith says, and I'm sure this is all over the country, and that's why we're on here. And honestly, Nick helps so many people out. I think how many people a day reach out to you, do you think?
Oh man, I probably talk to, just through my Crush The Epidemic page, I'm talking to 20, 30 people a day.
That's unbelievable.
And a lot
of them have nowhere to go or no help.
No, and that's what we need sometimes, where we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, is we just need that person to talk to us.
Right.
We need some direction.
Right.
And that's really what I'm there for. That's what I made the page for, and I've really seen a lot of success with it, man. Where I go from anywhere from talking to the person themselves that's struggling to families to wives, husbands, children, and it's.
Stephanie says, it feels like we don't have enough recovery places here in Southern Illinois. I pray we could get more resources to make the change here.
Yeah, and there are options out there. There are options, whether it's you have a private insurance policy or you have Medicaid, there are options out there. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of what I try to do when I am in Illinois, is to gain relationships with those people. So when I do come across, someone that necessarily doesn't think that, they have an option, that there is an option for them. You know what I mean? And the ball is in their court. But sometimes we need that direction. We need to talk to more people. The more people we talk to, the more options that we see that are out there.
Guys, please like and share us. We have a good group in here now. I'd love to get more people in here also to hear what Nick has to say. Because what he has to say is a powerful message and may help somebody.
Yeah, if you guys are watching this video, whether it's you're following the comprehensive page or you're from my page, Crush The Epidemic, make sure that you like this live feed and share it. Tag your friends in it. Do whatever you got to do. We want to get as many people in here as possible to really get this recovery talk out there as far as possible. And that's what I did with my Crush The Epidemic page. Was the more people we get involved, the more of a message we get out there.
And you've helped a lot of people.
Oh my God, man. And it's amazing, man. It really is to really see success stories and know that I had some sort of a part in it. It's really amazing.
So Donna says, she's the one from Long Island, says, what causes someone to shoot heroin? It's become a huge problem. Also, on Long Island, my hometown, she goes, how can I help someone to get off these drugs?
Okay, so what causes someone to shoot heroin is, so usually if you're an addict, a lot of people start with something small. We have the saying, like, 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. So, like, I can start taking Vicodin, for instance. Vicodin is a very, like, weak pain medication. It is a narcotic. But eventually, Vicodin's not enough. So then I switch to Percocets. Well, then Percocets aren't enough. You know, because our tolerance goes up and, you know, we're not used to, like, dealing with our emotions, where, like, that's where addicts mostly use, is to cover up emotions. And, you know, eventually it's not enough to where, like, the next best thing is heroin. Well, you're doing heroin, but you're not getting as high. So what's the next thing? Putting it in a needle. You know, and that's where, like, we get careless and we lose any, you know, self-respect, and that's why we go and we start.
But I guess someone that's not an addict still just doesn't understand that progression, and that's where you would say it's a disease.
Yeah, and that's where, like, people are different. You know, where an addict and a normal person is. A normal person will do something, maybe even like it, but no, if I do this, if I continue to do this, my life's going to be unmanageable.
And when you were going to do it, what did you think?
Right, like, I even might have thought that, well, if I continue to do this, my life's probably going to be unmanageable. But I latch onto the feeling of the substance more than anything, so I continue to do it, you know, and all those other thoughts go out the window. It's just, how can I get high? How can I chase that first feeling, that first high that I got, you know? And
no matter, and if you did something really wrong, like steal from your family,
mm-hmm.
Did you feel bad about it?
No, not at the time, no.
No. So, and because most people that maybe don't have an addiction wouldn't understand that.
Right, and they wouldn't, and it's hard, and that's kind of like why I do these Facebook videos, and why, you know, you guys really try to educate and get people to understand, is that, you know, the individual is sick, you know, like, they are sick and they need to get better, and there is a new way of life.
Anthony's here. He says, "Shared it, Nick. This is Aaron's dad, Nick's best friend. I am so proud of you."
Yeah.
I believe that's the father of...
Yeah, that's my best friend's dad. My best friend that I spoke about earlier that passed away.
That's great that he still follows you.
Oh man, Anthony is at every single, if he's in the area, he's at every single speaking commitment I have. He's really trying to get involved. I'm really, really trying to get him to a point to where, like, he shares his story. Because me, as far as dealing with my best friend's passing, like, what I do is help people. You know, I really
mean, and
share
talk
my
about
story.
like really carrying a message in his son, so his son didn't die in vain.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's amazing.
Absolutely, man. And he's so supportive of recovery and wants people to get help, and he's going to get involved. He's definitely there at every single, you know, Crush The Epidemic function, and, you know, I hope he continues to do that. And he will.
Stephanie Smith said, "I started off on pain meds from the doctor," same thing you said,
Mm-hmm.
and it just got worse. And then she said, "Nick, you've helped it in my recovery."
Yeah.
So it's amazing. I mean, I've never heard. I don't even know if you give yourself. Do you feel like you give yourself enough credit?
I don't, man, because, like, I don't want to take it for granted. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want what I do to lose its value, and that, you know, there's never too many people that I can help.
Right.
You know, there's never too many, and I don't want it to lose its value, and I don't want my ego to get big and things like that, and you know, I just want the value to, like, be at a max. You know what I mean? And it's just there's not enough people out there that I could help. You know.
And what do you think the hardest part is? I mean, I know to be taking so many people's calls and hearing the things they're going through. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you deal with those things?
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that.
I mean, tell us
easy.
the truth on the hard times.
It's hard, man. It's hard. Like, I've literally been in tears with some people, you know, and watching them, like, destroy their lives, and literally them having the option, you know, to, like, handing them life on a silver platter, you know, like, here, man, like, you don't have to live in the misery anymore, and they won't take it, and then you hear about them dying. It is tough, man. It is really tough, and I'm, like, a very, like, you know, I have a big heart, man, and you know, it's hard when you lose somebody, and it's hard when you really, like, see potential in someone, and they're so in the depths of addiction, and they won't latch onto it, man.
How do you keep doing it when you get let down so many times? Because obviously
that one person, right? I could try to help 100 people, and seeing that one person succeed is, like, the best gift ever.
I mean, you hear that a lot from people, but is that really the truth?
It is, man. It is. It really is. And I would tell you if it wasn't, but it really is worth, like, seeing that one person, like, accomplish things in life. And I don't mean like material things, but like that phone call they had with their family. You know, like buying a new pair of shoes, you know, or like, you know, then watching them talk to other people about their recovery and how they're being successful, you know, like their solution to staying clean. Like that stuff makes me happy, you know, like it beats any material thing, man. It's really just like watching somebody succeed.
I mean, I know last night alone you were up to 5 in the morning.
Yeah, I was, man. I was up until 5 a.m. talking to somebody, trying to get them to leave the hotel room they were at because they were by themselves in a hotel room getting high. And the reality of it is everybody is dying, you know, and nobody's there to help this person. And, you know, she wouldn't latch on to it, man. She wouldn't take the help, but I planted the seed, you know, and that's a lot of the calls I get and a lot of the people I talk to is more or less planting a seed.
Mandy, who you know, said, Nick, part of the program is carrying the message, which you've dedicated your life to, which is amazing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. The more I've been in this business, the more amazing you realize it is, because I'm not in recovery myself, but as the owner of comprehensive wellness centers, I've started being around more of it, and it's just amazing. It's a very difficult disease, and for someone to devote their life to helping people with this disease is astounding, and I commend you for that. I'm not even joking. It's harder, some of the hardest thing I've ever seen ever. She says, how do you deal when others don't take the help you've provided them to get and stay clean?
I mean, I can only do my part. You know, like I can only do my part. Like, you know, they have the saying like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. You know, and that's what it took me a long time to get to that point to where like I was okay with the fact that they weren't taking the help, you know, like, because I beat myself up a lot, you know, like, what did I do wrong? Why are they not taking this help? Like, but I have to remember where I was at, you know what I mean? Like, I have to remember that I was stubborn, you know, like, I was scared to recover because I was so, like, comfortable in the misery, and, you know, like, I don't beat myself up about it anymore. Like, I did my part, you know, like, I put in my part, and if they don't take it, like, that's on them. It's not on me.
Rebecca says, do you think jail is necessarily a good place for addicts who've committed a crime due to their addiction?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. I think that I got a couple people right now that I feel like, you know, if they would just go to jail and have to sit through those withdrawals and they're off the street, they're safe.
Right.
You know, and sometimes
I've heard some parents say they'd almost, when their son or daughter's in jail, they could sleep at night.
My mom went through it, you know, like I got arrested one night and she got a call that I was in jail and she went right back to sleep.
Right.
You know, but like I think it's good not only for like the families to like get a good night's sleep, but like a lot of those people are ripping and running until they run into that brick wall, which might be jail. You know.
And from what I've seen, quite honestly, sometimes they need some tough love.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
you know, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later, but like they might need that. Like, you know, they keep dodging it and they don't stop what they're doing. And I've heard a lot of people end up getting better after they hit that reality.
And I don't think if you're asking like, okay, if someone goes to jail, are they going to stay clean after that? Like, I don't think jail's going to cure anybody. You know what I mean? But it will at least put a stop to the chaos for a couple days. Maybe give them some time to sit with themselves and think, like, what am I doing? And then maybe go into treatment after they get out, you know?
Sarah has a good question. How do you get to the point of being able to admit your addiction to your family and ask for help?
And that's a lot of the calls I get too, where...
How do I tell somebody?
How do you tell someone whether it's going to be a negative reaction or a positive reaction, you have to do it. You have to come clean. You have to get honest. And at the end of the day, it's not about what they think about you. It's about getting yourself better. And people have kids. They're like, well, I can't tell my kids, or I can't leave my kids, even though they might have that option to leave their kids with their parents. But this is about you. This is about getting you better so you can be there for other people. So you can be the daughter you were put on this planet to be. So you can be the mother that you were put on this planet to be. Like, it's about fixing you. Because without fixing you, you don't have other people.
Right.
You know?
Like, that's what I say too. I'm like, well, you have kids, I got to be there for my kids, but you're not there for your kids, obviously, because it's affecting your life so much.
And even if they are, sometimes you have functioning addicts that
Right.
are like, well, I'm still at home with my kids every day, but you're not there
Right.
for your kids.
Right.
You're
Well,
like,
my dad
you're
was a
not-
functioning alcoholic,
Yeah.
and I would say at times a lot of times he was emotionally distant.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like that affected me growing up too.
And it's about like being comfortable. You know what I mean? Like you want to like live an honest, comfortable life with your kids. Like not constantly like thinking like, are they gonna find out that I'm using drugs? Are my parents gonna find out? Like what are they gonna think? Like no, it's about getting you clean. And anybody that doesn't support you making a change in your life to getting clean, there's something wrong there. That relationship doesn't need to be there.
A lot of people I've seen on your Facebook have been saying, when are you coming to Ohio? When are you coming to Ohio? Do you have any plans to go to other places?
I do. And Crush the Epidemic, I hope it keeps growing, and I keep getting to go to like different places in the country, and I eventually want to have hit all 50 states, man. Like there's no, I don't see any end to that. You know what I mean? Like the sky's the limit with that. You know, as long as with Crush the Epidemic, if I get enough things in order in a certain area, in a certain state, then I'm all for going to that state. You know?
Where is the next state you'd like to go to?
Ohio, I keep hearing it. I keep hearing Ohio, and the opioid epidemic's crazy up there, man.
Right.
It's really crazy, but it's definitely somewhere I want to get to.
Yeah, there's a local K through 12 in Ohio. We have such a heroin epidemic here, and we need to teach our youth before it can even, God bless. You were at how many schools did you visit in Illinois?
I spoke in 4 schools and 1 juvenile detention center. So I was in a juvenile prison and then 4 different high schools and junior highs. And I think that's so important that we're educating, the youth, educating the kids that are, 6th through 12th grade. It's very important that we're getting people into the schools like me or other people that can really educate on the disease and where it can take you. And I had a lot of kids, man, in each school. Each school I spoke at, I had a kid, at least one kid, and one school I had 2 kids that walked up and said, I lost my dad to a heroin overdose. I lost my mom to a heroin overdose. And it's sad. It's sad. And seeing the tears in their eyes, man, it's sad, man. But that's the type of stuff that motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Tina asked, can an addict stay clean without meetings and counseling after rehab?
I can only speak for myself, okay? Like, I can only speak for myself on that. Me, as an addict, I need a 12-step fellowship, okay? Like, I still got to go to I have 2.5 years clean. I still got to go to 4 or 5 meetings a week. I still meet up with my sponsorship family every Monday. I have sponsees. I pick up service commitments. These are the things that I have to do to stay clean. Yes, I've seen people get out of treatment and go home and be miserable. I've seen a lot of people go home and be miserable, but it usually doesn't work that way.
Right.
You can get clean and be miserable. But nobody wants to do that. Like I wanted to get clean and I wanted to be happy, so I had to work a 12-step fellowship.
So I wanted to switch gears a little bit. So something that's been, again, we're here at Comprehensive Wellness Centers. I want to say this is Nick Morgan. He's the founder of Crush the Epidemic. Please visit his page, like his page on Facebook. We're here at CWC Recovery. Well, we're here at Comprehensive Wellness Centers. Our website is CWC Recovery. If you need anything, let us know. We're a PHP IOP treatment center here in Florida. We do 12-step focus, and as well as clinical and many other things. I want to talk about enabling because it's been bugging me as an owner of a treatment center. And I know you're dealing with a lot of that when you talk to people that are calling you on the phone, or you get a lot of parents or mothers or fathers or sisters or brothers. Mm-hmm. Where do we start with that? Like, what are you seeing that's hindering the ability? Like, what are you seeing? What are you hearing out there? And then how can we change it?
I can't touch on this enough, man. Like, enabling is, and I hate to say it, but some of these parents, mine included at one point, enable their kids to death, literally to death.
How do you make them understand that? Like, what are they doing wrong?
I can only share my experience with it. And my mom, okay, my dad pretty much disowned me, right? My mom had to stop answering the phone. When I went to jail, she didn't bail me out. She stopped sending me money. Parents, stop sending your kids money when they don't need it. I can come up with every excuse in the book as to why I need my parents to give me money because I'm an addict and I'm a king manipulator. But, it's just very important that like families get into Al-Anon, families get into Nar-Anon. I think that's really, really important. Like Families Anonymous, like I think it's so important because that's a lot of the codependency issues and you know, when somebody like me talks to a family and I say don't do this and they do it anyway, it's like almost like it's aggravating to me because I see the person doing good, and then whenever mom starts sending them money and doing whatever they do, I start to see them downward spiral and not care anymore.
I mean, I'm not the parent. I have 2 young boys, but I'm not the parent of a someone that would be addicted to drugs. And I'm just, I don't know how I would be, but I know now being in this business, I would never enable my child. The one thing I notice is the addicts that have the best chance are the ones that are completely dropped on their butt and say, look, we cannot help you anymore.
Yeah, and it's not like necessarily like, you don't necessarily have to like block their phone calls or anything like that, but love them from a distance.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why would somebody change if there was no pain? You know what I mean? Like, and that's what we say in the rooms, is like when the pain is great enough, we'll change. You know what I mean? But like, why would somebody change if they're constantly being bailed out? You know, why would somebody change if there's no consequences? You know what I mean? Like, why would somebody change? Why would somebody go get a job if mom's paying for their stuff? Like, why would they?
Right.
I wouldn't.
Right.
You know? But it's just, I think it's very, very important that parents stay strong. You know, and when people that are like people that know what they're talking about, people that have been through the same walk, which that, you know, just like in NA, addicts help addicts, and Families Anonymous or Nar-Anon or Al-Anon, families help families. Like, I think it's very important that you listen to those people that are really trying to like help you and not enabling your child or enabling your significant other.
And then because of the manipulation, I mean, they'll go right for your heart. I mean, they'll say anything and do it. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to die.
I knew exactly what buttons to push, man. You know, like I knew exactly what ones to hit and when to hit them, and you know when not to hit them.
Right.
You know, so like I knew that, and we feel those things out through time. You know, you've lived with your parents for so many years, and you know them, and you know where their emotions are at. It's very, you know, it's very easy to hit those buttons. But if you don't let them hit the buttons and put that wall up, it's not going to happen.
Right.
You know, and yeah, they're not going to be happy, and yeah, they're not going to be comfortable. You know, but it's part of like, recovery is not easy at first. It's not, man. My first year took a lot of footwork, but like, I went through an entire year without having to ask my mom for money. You know, when I actually put the footwork in and did things myself and looked to the people that were there to help me, you know, down here, like other addicts and the treatment center I was in, like, my life got better, and I didn't have to, like, you know, they say, like, come off the tip, you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly, like, what the saying is, and it's time to, like, grow up and do things on your own, you know? And most of these, you know, guys that I talk to are in their 20s, you know, that should have a job, you know? Like, get up, you know, go to an interview, put in applications.
Right, like some haven't even ever learned to cook themselves a meal or wash their own dishes.
And that's why I think it's important that, you know, even from birth, you're not, like, babying your kid, you know? Like, when I do have a child, you know, like, I know what not to do, because, like, my parents didn't do it with me, you know what I mean? I was baby to a certain point, but, like, you know, I knew how to cook when I got down here. I knew how to make my bed. You know, those were things that, like, my family taught me, but, you know, I think it's very important that we're not enabling people.
And now let's just say they did 30 days, they got their treatment, everybody's excited, everybody's happy. They go home and then the mom or father give them a car, or they buy them an apartment.
It's horrible, man. Like,
and you know what? That's one thing. Hold on. That's one thing I would do.
Yeah.
My kid would come home from 30 days of treatment, and I'd be like, "You're my hero. Thank you, because I worked so hard to get him there, and he worked so hard to get there, and I want to reward him with a new apartment or the keys to his car back." And what happens then?
Yeah, dude. It's an immediate downward spiral, man. Like, I think that's great. Be proud of them. You know what I mean? But somebody that has been drinking and drugging for as long as they have, and you know, those problems aren't fixed in 30 days, man.
Right.
Not a shot. And it takes a lot longer than that. You know, like even with 6 months, You know, like I got 2.5 years, man, and I'm still working on character defects. You know, and thank God I didn't have things handed to me along the way. Like, I've worked very hard to get where I'm at, and, you know, like, I don't take it for granted. You know, because they would take that car for granted. You know what I mean? Like, oh, man, I just did 30 days of treatment. My mom gave me a new car. Wow. Like, I can do whatever I want now.
Right.
You know, because if I mess up again, she'll probably give me a car in another 30 days.
How long did it take you to earn your family's trust?
You know, even to be completely honest with you, I haven't talked to my dad in 3 years. You know what I mean?
So even after all this stuff you're doing,
relationships do not heal overnight, and sometimes they take years. Okay, my mom, you know, like, God love my mom, man. She's my rock. She never gave up on me, but she loved me from a distance. You know what I mean?
and how long did it take?
It took me about 6 months, man, to get those phone calls back. You know,
because I think there's some frustration too, like the expectation per se, which I know you're not supposed to have expectations.
Yeah.
But is that they complete the 30 days and their family should just run.
No, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. And there's nothing wrong with giving your child a call and saying, good job, I'm proud of you. But, like, with the whole, oh, come home, you can move in with us, and, you know, I'll make you dinner every night and pat you on the back. Like, no. There needs to be some footwork in there. Yes, there needs to be some hard times to get to where they want to get to. And I think it's important that they still even love them from a distance, even after 30 days clean. You know what I mean? It's important that they keep that wall up, because you never know, man. In 30 days, you let them back in, you know, they're off to the races again.
Right. If you guys have any, please like and share us, guys. Again, I'm here with Nick Morgan of Crush The Epidemic. We'd like to see some more people here. Please, we have Nick here. I mean, he's been in many places lately. He's been all over Illinois, and he's helps a lot of people. If anybody has any questions that he can answer, we'd love to have any questions you have, any topics you'd like to talk about. So again, let's go back to with the enabling of the family. So what would be your recommendation for someone who is dealing with someone that doesn't want to get help or get treatment? I mean, what options do they have?
And that's like a question I get all the time too, and it's hard, man. Like, I can't help somebody that doesn't want help. Like, I can't, you know, but like, what I can do is like point them in the right direction. If they pick that tool up and use it, that's on them.
So people shouldn't beat themselves up over it.
Not at all. Not at all.
Because it's not their fault.
It's not. And that's something I did for a long time too, is I would beat myself up when somebody that I tried to help would relapse, or tried to help them and they didn't want the help. Like, I'd be like, well, what am I doing wrong? What could I have done differently? You know, and it's not, I say, when it comes to family members or whoever it is, you know, I always tell them to, like, point them towards my Facebook page. Start mentioning them in the comments under the videos, under the live feeds, and, you know, like, you know, point them in my direction or in other people's directions that are, like, living clean, successful lives in recovery. Because, like, that's where I got my hope, you know, was hearing somebody that was successful. You know, I latched onto that. I finally, you know, heard a guy speak in a meeting, and I just latched onto it, man. Like, I wanted that. Like, I wanted to be happy. And that's, you know, I didn't want help at the time. But I heard success, and I heard that I could conquer it, and I latched onto it.
Mandy says, real recovery is hard, but the growth and happiness that come as a result is more than anyone can buy. Thank you, Jason and Nick, for the amazing discussion of the necessities of this process. Thank you, Mandy.
And she's right. She is right. Like, as far as, like, recovery's not easy, man. And they told me, like, if I put in the work, like, I would live a life beyond my wildest dreams. And, like, and my wildest dreams was, like, a yacht, you know what I mean, a bunch of girls. Like, that was my wildest dreams at the time. But really, like, when I was out there using, like, my dream was, okay, I only dreamed of, like, waking up and not having to be dope sick. I only dreamed of, like, waking up and, like, having, like, a roof over my head that I could call mine. You know what I mean? I dreamed of having my family back in my life. And I have those things today. You know what I mean? Like, you really do achieve lots of, like, great things in recovery. And, like, it's almost like every day, you know, God throws a blessing my way that, like, just blows my mind, man. And puts people in my life for me to help. And it's amazing.
That's amazing. Anybody have any questions for us? Send any questions. I want you to talk about what your plans are for Crush The Epidemic moving forward. I mean, you had talked about trying to get to some other states. But, you know, what are your short-term and long-term goals with Crush The Epidemic?
A long-term goal is, like, I really want to have Crush The Epidemic. I want to add more people to Crush The Epidemic. I want it to grow. I want it to be nationwide. I want more people, including myself, to be in more facilities, whether it's schools, prisons, churches, conferences. Like, the more of that we have, like, the more of a message we get out there, and the more people we get involved. I'm definitely working on trying to put a trip together after the holidays. You know, I want to get back up, you know, in the Midwest or wherever that God calls me to go, and I just want it to grow, man.
And you just do this. I mean, you have support, but I mean, you're doing this a lot on your own, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're answering these calls, 10 calls a day, 15 calls a day, all on your own.
It is, and it's just me, and it can get hectic at times, and I can get distracted sometimes, and you know, because I am human, you know, but it's so worth it, man. It's so worth the reward from even hearing from some people's families that I get to help their loved one. That, like, you know, I talked to a guy yesterday or 2 days ago that I had helped, and I'm talking to him outside of a treatment center, and he's like, hey man, we talked for 20 minutes, and he sounded grateful, and he was like, before he walked back inside, he said, hey Nick, I just want you to know, man, like, you saved a life. And just to hear that, man, it's absolutely amazing for somebody to say, hey man, like, you saved my life.
Yeah, and looking at some of the comments you get, it really, I mean, you have to almost stop and think about some of the words people are saying. It's like, it's really amazing the impact that your words have on some people, and you got to stay focused on that, because it can get hard when it gets, you know, when things get difficult.
Yeah.
You kind of got to look back at how many people you've helped with just your words.
Yeah, and that's sometimes all it is, man. Is those videos that I put up. It's just I constantly get messages. Hey, I needed that today.
Right.
Hey, man, like that I needed that today. I just needed to hear that. Hearing that made me.
What do you do when you need something?
Huh?
What do you do when you need something?
I go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, man. I gotta have my recovery too, and I look at other people's stuff that they post on Facebook, and I get involved, and you know, I have a sponsor that I can call when I'm stressing and going through things, and I still work steps. I take my sponsees through the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, and you know, I gotta work on me too, man. I'm still an addict. I've got 2.5 years clean, and I still got a lot to work on.
Because honestly, I've heard recently, even guys, 4 years, 5 years.
Doesn't matter.
I mean,
man.
if you stop, it's scary, because it seems to. And then when it happens, it's not pretty.
Mm-mm.
It's not like a one-day event.
No. It's not good. And I know people that have had 9, 10 years clean, stop doing what they were supposed to do. Even some people stopped doing what they were supposed to do. They got so caught up into helping other people that they forgot about
themselves,
and they went back out.
And that's what I worry about you too.
Yeah, I mean, and if you didn't know me and didn't know that, like, I worked the program and I still take time for my recovery, you'd be like, dude, you're crazy.
Right.
You know, but I do take Mondays for my recovery. I sit down with my sponsorship family. We do steps. We eat. We go to a meeting, and my sponsor calls me out on stuff that I don't want to hear, but, like, I need that. You know what I mean? Like, we have to hold each other accountable in recovery.
Annette asks, how have you dealt with the guilt and shame that comes along with active addiction? I'm grateful to be clean from heroin for over 19 months, but having a hard time with the shame over these things I did while I was using.
Mm-hmm. So that's where 12 steps comes in, man. Doing a 4-step, doing a 5th, 6th, 7th step, and then doing your 9th step amends, like, that's where a 12-step recovery, like, comes in, is really helping you deal with that guilt and shame, you know, from things you did while you were out there, and really coming to peace with yourself, like, because you gotta forgive yourself, you do, you know, and that's something that took me out a lot, and because I relapse is part of my story.
It seems like a lot of the things that is shame and resentment, and
absolutely,
those are the things that just weigh on you, and tell us about, so in the steps, you start tackling that in step 4, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you start dealing with your resentments in step 4, and it's like, resentments are deadly, man. Like, resentments are like, and it was like, puts me this way, a resentment is like you drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You know what I mean? And I think that's, like, legit, you know?
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, that person's probably already forgot about it or let go of it.
Yeah, you're holding the resentment and keep beating yourself up over
exactly.
it. But the resentment's towards that person, and they don't even care.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's like you drinking the poison and expecting them to die. And a 4-step, it's amazing. Some people get sketched out about the 4-step, but that's the best thing that ever happened to me. You know what I mean? It's important to get it done quick because we want to move on.
Right.
You know.
Megan says, "Thank the Lord above for special people like you. The impact that Nick and this whole Crush the Epidemic will have on people is huge. Keep doing what you guys are doing. People need this type of recovery therapy in their lives." Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Cam looks like he's in the house. He didn't say much. He just gave 2 googly eyes.
Cam.
Cam's always the one for a lot of words.
Killer Cam.
All right, guys. Well, do you have anything else to say? Tell us anything more?
I mean, I really, like Crush the Epidemic is really starting to progress and expand, and I think it's important that we get as many people involved as possible. If you know somebody that's going through a hard time, families, friends, sisters, brothers, tag them in Crush the Epidemic, man. Tag them in the stuff on Facebook. Send them to my page. Like, it goes directly to me. Like, I talk to the people. It's not somebody else talking to them. It's me, literally me. I'm the one that talks to everybody. The 9,000 followers on Crush the Epidemic, and I'm available all the time. It doesn't matter what time it is. Feel free to call me if you have questions about recovery. You have questions about a loved one. It doesn't matter like what it is. If you haven't yet, go like and follow Crush the Epidemic. Again, my name's Nick Morgan. Appreciate you guys having me on here, and that's it, man.
Yeah, I want to thank you again. And again, also check out our page. We're at CWC Lantana on our Facebook, correct? And it's CWCrecovery.com is our website, and we're comprehensive wellness centers here in Lantana. We will be back next Thursday at 5 p.m. Please, please, please send us some topics you'd like to hear, or for Nick as well, go on Nick's page, Crush the Epidemic, or our page, and let us know in Ohio or other places where you'd like him to visit, even specific churches or schools or prisons or meeting rooms or anything, so he can contact those places when he's trying to put his schedule together, because I know he is looking to get to Ohio, and it would be best if he had a bunch of places to start with where he can start getting in touch with these people and seeing when would be good for him to come out and speak. Thank you all again. We'll see you next Thursday. Good night.